Okay.
Woo! Good evening. New intro, new look, but same great show, folks. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, with me officially now on the title and on the intro, is Mr. Bobby Blunts. Bobby, what an incredible night UFC 327 was. I mean, I guess you got to start from the top. I mean, Yuri Prohaska should be the UFC light heavyweight champion, but Carlos Ulberg knocks him out on one fucking leg. On one leg, torn ACL, goes out. I mean, all Yuri has to do, Bobby, is just sit there and wait. Sit there and let time tick away. Instead, I don't know what he was doing. I know you're gonna. I'll let you go and get your thoughts because I know you're gonna say it was fucking awful.
Um, it was pretty bad, like watching in real time. The fight started and it looked like, oh shit, Yuri's getting his leg hit up already. Was not checking the kick at all, and Ulberg was doing his thing, throwing his feints, and when I was watching it back, I was like looking for the point of it happening. And I thought it happened like much earlier. Like we still kind of got like a minute and a half or so before it happened. But when it did, I mean, we've watched football. We've seen a lot of, non-contact injuries and stuff like that. And you saw the knee buckle and you just kind of assumed the worst. But very impressive, even though like his leg was failing him, he almost stayed on balance. Like obviously he was getting kicked out from under him and he was falling, but like he even like threw the kick. And as reckless and ridiculous that Yuri was, I just still have to give the credit to Ulberg, who you thought was going to be in a lot of problems there, but then you saw how like reckless Yuri was going, and I called it out on the space that he's gonna get caught. I mean, Dean Thomas literally mentioned when the fight started that Yuri struggles getting hit with the left hook, and what happened? He rushed in there and got hit with the left hook. Now I don't know what you want to call him, the pointing down, like if you want to just consider that more theatrics or like Yuri giving him a chance, but in a title fight, I would have to say that was the worst fight IQ I have ever seen in my life. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Ulberg because he absolutely won that fight when he was not supposed to in that compromising moment. But it if it wasn't Yuri, I'd be more shocked. But like because it is Yuri, I'm like, yeah, that's not too shocking that that happened. But very like wild conclusion to the night that we got, because we thought we were going to get a lot more, and we thought we weren't, and then the second we thought it was like grim, left hook. So credit to Ulberg. I hope they don't take the title from him.
Yeah, and we'll get to kind of what's next for maybe both men here, but like, uh, kudos to, like you mentioned, Ulberg, like throwing that leg kick with the bad leg, right? Like, I mean, throwing a leg kick with your ace in the composure. How many times have we seen guys just like fall down and be like, "That's it"? This man stood there in the pocket and was still throwing on one leg for majority of that round, and like you said, like what do you make of Yuri saying he showed mercy? I've seen people kind of go back and forth online whether it was mercy, whether it was no mercy. I don't.
I would call it no IQ. Like, like the statement itself was equally as foolish as the game plan that went out the window. But then, like, even like when I watched it back, other than like when Ulberg was obviously completely losing his balance and falling, he was like bouncing around. It was incredible to see him just like, my knee just blew out, and put that out of his mind. It's
The
mind over
resolve.
matter, I
Yeah,
guess.
right. The resolve, like his composure, like that's
Yeah.
to me was insane. Of like his composure to stay in there and just be like, fuck it, like, and still throw a leg kick and still just kind of stand there and wait. I thought he did smart, right? Was like, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but back up against the cage and kind of use that cage as maybe a little bit of leverage to where, to where he could kind of plant the foot a little, help him plant the foot. Um, and I think
Yeah.
that's where Yuri was like kind of like trying to get him to kind of come up. And I don't know why he was pointing. Some people point to that. That's where he was kind of showing mercy. Um, you know,
When Yuri pointed, I think that's when Ulberg kind of made the decision. Okay, I can just bait him because he is going to fight like an idiot now, and
and I'm
the
just going to knock
fight
his
was
fucking
over
ass
5
out.
seconds later.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Rob, you're in the wrong space, brother. This is the big dick energy gathering here of degenerates. So you're in the wrong spot, Rob. You might want to check a different channel. So Rob says he showed donkability. Amen to that. Yeah, I mean that's what it was. So,
And like,
yeah,
to that point, I don't even know why Rogan interviewed Yuri. Like, get him out of the cage. Like, I
right.
don't need to hear him justifying why he, there was Jesus.
Yeah, but Tom's eyes hurt, right? He's like, I kid. That's two different things. But touche, Rob, touche.
But you're not, actually, you will believe me, but I immediately thought that when that happened. Like, that's the first thing I
Oh,
thought.
that people would be like, oh, Tom couldn't fight, but
It was like, not even before they're putting Yuri on the stool, it instantly hit my mind. Like, oh, I know I'm going to see this on Monday.
yeah, I don't. Luckily, I haven't seen anybody say it. Luckily, but Yuri, I just think. I mean, Yuri just fought reckless, like. And kudos to Ulberg, and he said, "Hey, I practiced that. I knew that I could get him with the left hook. Like he has trouble with it, and we trained, and I knew I was going to be able to knock him out with that left hook, and he put him down,
and, and to that point, I know we didn't get the fight we were expecting, but
I don't need to see the rematch like right away
it,
or
in
anytime.
as dumb as this going to sound, in those 30 seconds of that fight starting, I knew that Ulberg was going to win. I immediately was like, yeah, it was definitely a mistake to pick Yuri. And even with that non-contact injury, I really think that just goes the same way. Because I can't, though Yuri immediately went to the, point down, let's go. I feel like that's what he was going to do no matter what happened in that fight at some point.
Well, he was gonna keep pressing forward just like he does every other fight, and still's never checked a leg kick in his life. And unlike Khalil and much like Alex, Ulberg has that knockout power, that one punch knockout power that if you possess it, you can put him down, and that's what happened.
Yuri fell like potent hit him. Like another thing it instantly made me think of. And yeah, I know we're gonna get to this, but
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see like how they're gonna play this now with because like I'm just assuming it's a torn ACL. I know
It is. Yeah, I'm assuming so. I think it's torn ACL. I
what
thought
I'm hoping
during the fight, I thought it was his Achilles when I first.
well that I really hope it is the ACL and not the Achilles.
Right.
Because like especially when you see how Jamal Hill rushed back from his to make the 300 main event, something I don't think he gets any credit for from the fans, but that's a whole separate topic. I really just hope he takes the right, like I don't expect to see him for a minimum of 13 months.
So that as much as that it was high of Ulberg, it was like the best thing that maybe could have happened to the UFC is Ulberg winning. But also the worst thing that just happened is he also got hurt in that fight and is going to be out. ACL is 9 to 12 months. So to me, I don't really what they should do and probably what they're gonna do, as we always say, two different things, right? What they should do is just let it be, have some number one contender fights, and there possibly could be a guy that we'll get into that was on the co-main event, be part of that. What they will do, and we both kind of know this, I think, is they'll have an interim fight because they just love shoving titles, and they're going to need eventually down the road here. We need a title fight. So, Ulberg's out. Let's do an interim for the light heavyweight. There's been plenty of times, and if you even look now, I mean, Hamzat's only fought once in the last year, right? So, like, Islam is only going to fight, maybe once this year. So, like, you could wait the 9 to 12 months for Ulberg to come back and still be the champ and never have to do an interim. Like, even like when John Jones, towards the end of his reign, he was only fighting once a year. You know what I mean? We've seen fighters only fight once a year, especially the champion. So why not just wait the 12 months and have him come back?
Yeah, I mean, as long as that's kind of the timeline they're getting and stuff,
That's the typical timeline for ACL. 9 to 12 months.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's taking contact and stuff. It's just so. And I agree that I'd have no problem with them weighing him out, mainly because the state of the division that's in. I mean, we'll obviously talk about Paulo's fantastic win. I think you can match him up with someone at the top if you really wanted to do something. What I'm really concerned about is that the UFC will now use this as their opportunity to just press the easy button and have Chimaev defend his title once, bring him up from 205. Like, if they really need to get a title fight booked, I think that's going to be more the direction they would go. But then to your point, with his lack of fighting, like Chimaev, who's to say Ulberg, would not be back before then?
This is the route I think they could go here too. And Rob's right. Someone said this earlier this week. If Hamzat, smokes Sean, and then he's already talked about moving up to 205, you could do him and Pablo for the interim. And I think that would be a route that they could go, and I could see that happening. Again, I don't think you need any of that. I think you just wait it out for Ulberg, and you just do a number one contender fights.
Yeah, so Bilal Muhammad tweeted that, and I replied back to Bilal saying I would prefer them to book, and you'll probably laugh when I tell you this, but if they're really going to do it, fuck it. Even though he wasn't ranked a day ago, do Paulo Costa versus Ankalaev. Like, the matchmaking for that, but then again, I would wish they would just do that as a contending fight, like book that as the next fight. It doesn't need to have a belt attached to it. But, there's most of these guys are coming off a loss. So that's why you don't really need to go in the hurry to book anything. What's Rob got?
Rob says here, Ulberg is going to get the pass on roid test. He's the cash cow for an emerging market. They won't do anything to him. They have no other athlete they want to push. Cream, cash rules everything around me. Dollar bill, y'all.
I love when Rob put something in the chat, and I can't push back on a piece of it because I also cannot rule that out either.
Can't either. Yeah.
Especially knowing that, obviously Connor was given peptides and stuff to recover from his horrific injuries. So, yeah, that's definitely some. And they have definitely come a long way with these non-contact injuries in the last few years compared to that. But I don't know. I'm always just like thinking worst case scenario with them. And the point you made earlier, it seems too easy for them to just be like, well, we're going to need a title fight here. But, maybe they'll be able to hold it off. I think with the lineage belt, like this belt has been dealing with since John Jones vacated it, they're really better off just waiting.
Yeah, I mean, we've already had. I mean, this belt's been a mess since John Jones vacated, right? Like, and then Alex Pierre kind of meddled, like cleared it up a little bit, and now it's back to being kind of choppy again.
Yeah, and I mean, this was all the more reason why I wanted Pereira to directly go up to heavyweight after he lost to Goliath, because I knew if he went back down and won, he would just go up to heavyweight. So, um, you know, I really didn't give Paulo Costa enough credit. I did not really think he'd be able to add anything to the 205 division, but not having to cut those 20 pounds, he not only looked energized at the press conference, but that's essentially the best I've seen him post losing to Adesanya.
Yeah, that's the best fight he's had since Yoel Romero.
Yeah, he looked, motivated and
6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Yeah,
2019 that was 2019 maybe.
rolling back the clock, could not have had any better self-promotion for the secret juice that he has launched in there.
Right. And real quick, we'll get into Costa next here real fast, but what do you make of Yuri? There was a time where he talked about moving down to 185. I don't really hate that. I don't need to see Yuri in the if they do an interim, I don't need to see him in the title. I think he's going to need to get some few wins, but I don't know who those wins are going to be because he's damn near fought the top of the crop there.
I don't mean to sound harsh, but I never want to see Yuri Prohaska fighting for a UFC title again, and not without like a multiple fight win streak. And there's not enough people in that division to really be able to do that, So to me, it was already a favor that though I think he deserved it for coming back and beating Roundtree.
Yeah.
It never sat right with me that the only guy to beat Pereira at 205 was not involved in this vacant fight, even though he's just coming off the loss to losing the title. But credit to Ulberg with a fucking torn ACL calling out on Goliath. Like, no, I know that's the guy I pretty much need to be fighting next. So
yeah.
I'm really excited to see what Ulberg, the longevity he could have being a champion, providing he's, can make a full recovery. And who knows, maybe everything is possibly intact and it looked better than it did. But I don't know. When you see it move like that, that's never a good sign.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully, we haven't got anything they haven't said anything other than, it's probably an ACL tear. And it just sucks because you hate to see him go out like that when he's could have, about to be the champion. And
yeah, he said he's going to Vegas on tomorrow to get it checked out. So
yeah,
I would assume we'd know by then, but who knows? We know damn well this ain't this is a perfect example. Okay, if this was the NFL, you already know it would have been announced what it happened.
Oh, it would have been announced before he left the arena last night.
Yeah,
Saturday night.
Or when, that news would hit like that. But obviously, it would not shock me if we don't know for quite a bit of time.
You think they asked him to vacate?
We
saw Yuri vacate when he got hurt. We saw Jamal vacate when he got hurt.
It would not shock me, and especially because they could just say you get the next shot when you're back. But I just normally I would be on your side to it's a matter of time till they're gonna do it. And I don't know if it's just the weird lineage and stuff, but I think they might hold off. But
what they should do and what they're gonna do is two different things, Bobby.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just go back to when Dana made the announcement about Yuri's shoulder, and they quoted quote, the worst shoulder injury in UFC history and stuff like that. So it would not shock me at all if they asked him to vacate. But I feel like you're just making the same mess again. Cause like it reminds me of like when Angalaev and Jan went to a draw and
Yeah,
they asked Dana White about it, and he said, yeah, no, fuck that fight. We're gonna do this now. And it would
they did
be
Glover and Jamal, right? Yeah, that's it.
Jamal, yeah,
A month
which
later.
was already booked. And he pretty much said, oh no, we'll just do that for the vacant title. And in my opinion, a guy knocking someone out on a torn ACL should earn some grace. But we know that probably means very little to them. So
Yeah,
it's I'd probably put it at like 50-50 that but to me, like I think they should, even though it would feel messier, I would prefer them to do an interim than to make him vacate, just because of how it won and how he played out. That guy is the rightful fucking champion in my mind, even if I question the matchmaking of it in the first place.
yeah. Let's move. What did you make of? We've kind of talked about Paulo Costa. Finishing Amzat Murkadov on in the third round. I thought Paulo looked good in the first round. The second round, he seemed like he was kind of like huffing and puffing a little bit, but then then he just fired back, and he was able to, I think something happened. I think Amzat broke his arm, like on that leg kick where he blocked it. Looked like maybe hurt his arm pretty bad, and that was kind of all she wrote. But what a finish for Paulo Costa.
Yeah, terrific fight from him. I did not really know what we were going to get with him. Even in his last fight where he, won, I wasn't that impressed with the win. This fight, complete opposite. That first round, he was throwing that body kick heavily. He absolutely looked like the bigger guy in the cage. Definitely noticed the second round of him slowing down and thought, okay, this might that might have been all he had. But then he definitely had that second win and just outworked him. I mean, his corner was trying to give Asmet advice, and they were essentially just calling him lazy, had, really nothing to give him. And Paulo just like looked really focused and wanted to prove a point. And, after the post-fight interview, he, said, put some respect on my name. And that looked like a guy in there Saturday night whose, first job is fighting and, not being a troll on Twitter. So to get like the motivated eraser Paulo Costa, I think is exactly what this division needs. I do not want him going back to 185.
No, he needs to stay at 205, and he could be a real problem here. I mean, the division's very shallow.
Yeah, the division's very shallow. You saw him already tweeting at Josh Hokit.
Yeah, we'll get to that, obviously. Yeah, he said Josh Hokit's taking everything away. He was mad that Josh Hokit got performance of the night. Like, I don't understand where he's coming from, but I get he just wants some money.
Yeah, and but about as good of a performance as you could have got from Paulo.
Do you think with Costa's big win, if they do an interim, I think he did a good enough job to throw his name in the hat. He is now 7.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's still kind of a little low, but at the same time, you got to consider he wasn't ranked before, and being able to do that to an undefeated fighter, should definitely vault you up there. And especially when you look at 1-6, there are a lot of like question marks in that. I mean, I know probably the popular answer will be that people want to pivot to Roundtree. He's also coming off a loss. I already was pretty clear that there's no reason to see Yuri in a title fight. Jan is...
He's got Gustav.
Which is a rematch from a draw. So, like,
yeah.
No. And that's, like, why I agreed with your argument of you do nothing with the title and you just let him heal, because the division kind of needs some sorting, and some of these guys need to just get wins.
Who do you match up Costa with next? Him and Roundtree would be a pretty fun one.
Roundtree would be fun. I kind of led with it, like, let's throw him at the top. I would pretty much prefer on Goliath if I could pick one matchup there, because especially with seeing Costa's size in the division, it makes it a lot more intriguing with me. And especially if you're trying to actually sell me on a Chimaev Costa fight, this would be the avenue to do it.
Yeah. We missed. Oh, wait, that's. Oh, hold on. Roundtree. Hold on a second. I clicked on the wrong one. But Rob says Roundtree Costa banks and makes Costa legit as fuck in the division for a title shot. So I would appreciate it. We miss you too, brother. I mean, you always got the open invite. You know that. Kevin Holland says, Kevin Holland knows, make sure Costa only fights southpaws. Maybe so. Hey,
that's a very good call, Kev.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. And Chimaev and Roundtree, etc. Yeah, so kind of, I think a lot of intriguing fights for Pablo at 205. So, Bobby, we got to get into the fight. You are no longer, for the history of this show, you are no longer to call it heavyweight slop, because heavyweights are back, baby. Heavyweights are back by Josh Hokit. I said cut the gimmick. I said it here. I said his gimmick should just be save the heavyweight division. And by God, he saved the heavyweight division. He had a perfect dance partner in Curtis Blades. I never seen a complete 180 babyface from the internet on somebody. I mean, we sat here a week ago. He was being shit on, by myself included, and everybody else on the internet. Everybody was shitting on Josh Hokit, and I was rightfully so, probably so. I was like, it's stupid. A gimmick is a gimmick. I can't cut a promo. But you know what? He showed up on Saturday night, and he did a complete 180, and he's now a babyface. I mean, what an absolutely barn burner fucking war him and Curtis Blades went to. And then after that, he gets on the microphone and he cuts a fucking beautiful fucking promo on everybody.
Wait, did the promo sell you?
No, the fight sold me, Bobby. The fight sold me.
But what did you think of the promo?
I liked it. I mean, for him to go through that whole fucking war and still have still remember that shit and still just spit it out, I said, okay, I'll never say a bad word about Josh Hokit, and you are no longer allowed to call it heavyweight slop, because heavyweights are back, baby, saved by Josh Hokit and Curtis Blades on Saturday night.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Josh Hokit cannot fight every weekend. So I don't, yeah, absolutely.
Fight of the year contender.
Yeah, it's definitely a contender for sure. And it reminded me a lot of Waldo Cortez, that these guys can use their athleticism to kind of get these heavyweights in really, bad spots. And the antics in the cage were really working for me. Stuffing the takedown and throwing the middle finger.
Right.
That was,
little Nate Diaz in him.
I could see him like doing that to, some like unranked heavyweights, but him being able to like stuff Curtis. I mean, obviously Hokit has the collegiate wrestling on his side. So for that division, he's extremely well-rounded, and, the pace that he was going at, it almost like reminded me of a heavyweight Nick Diaz, where he's not going to like kill you with the power punches, but he's just going to overwhelm you with the volume. And, he wasn't standing on the stool in between rounds, so you weren't sure if he was gassed or not. But obviously, he has the endurance to be able to push that type of pace. And the fact that it broke striking records in heavyweight, it should kind of tell you all you need to know. And credit to Curtis I thought Curtis definitely won the first round based on volume, but Hokit easily took
I thought
the
I thought
second.
Hokit won the first, Blades won the second, Hokit won the third.
Yeah, they were all very close. The
Yeah.
significant strike numbers were kind of throwing me off a little bit, but at the end of that fight, there was no doubt that I thought Hokit won. And normally you ask me what's next, and we already have that answer. Like that, Josh Hokit will be probably the first fighter ever to get a fight booked and then sent to the hospital. So you know, everything is definitely working for him, and definitely a breath of fresh air. And please bring up Rob's comment because he's been high on Hokit since day one. So I'm sure he's got something to say.
Yeah, he says the only problem with Hokit being the greatest UFC heavyweight fight I can think of is what's next because sequel syndrome is a motherfucker. So
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot to live up for. But like Dana quite kind of said, like he kind of talked the talk thing, but the performance in the cage is all that matters at the end of the
right,
day. And
right.
that's like why that's kind of the main thing I've always focused on. Like we've always had like these guys that are kind of different and stuff. Um, my pushback for it was always more how the UFC is promoting the product in non-promoting it, kind of forcing these guys to have to do this stuff. Like that's my only gripe, but Hokit is taking the time he has, and he's milking every minute of it. So
I mean, he's crushed it, right? Like, I mean, we said this last week, like, we think what you want about the stupid gimmick stuff. The stuff on Friday I thought was a little bit funny, the little scared gimmick where he's the nervous scared gimmick. I thought I like that gimmick better than I like
on the scale, or
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, when he was talking to Laura Sanko as well, it was like he had like that nervous, like it was like a scared type thing gimmick. I like that gimmick better than I liked the Mexican wannabe gimmick and the weird the fucking with the lightsaber gimmick. That's just not. But it's just like wrestling. There's gimmicks I like and gimmicks I don't like. So. But I mean, he did what he had everybody talking about him, and that's what he wants, right? That's what's going to drive in, and that's good or bad.
He had impressions that were getting like 15 million views. So that part is definitely working.
And then you go into the cage and you put on a performance like that, like you fucking nailed the 5 fucking stars, Josh Hokit, 5 fucking stars.
In wrestling, they call that, putting you over. And I mean, he pretty much did it all on his own. And, like, I guess my comp for him personality wise would be like, Mick Foley. You get a little bit of like Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mankind.
Right.
And, for someone that like really did not care about like how the press conference for the White House is going to go, I think it's a good like he will fit right in for that.
I hope he turns full now that he's like a baby face for the internet. I don't know, it'll be interesting how he handles that, cuz like one thing about his promo at the end, he never like fucking went over and like hugged Trump or fucking people are putting him in the class as Colby. I never put him in the class as Colby Covington because he never was talking shit about America and this and that. He's just talking crazy shit.
Yeah.
How much he loves President Trump. Like, so I never put him in the Colby class.
Yeah. I think people more kind of just project that on him because of the personality. And, the only like thing I wish I could have got, and like, I know I just have to accept it at this point that we're not going to get it. But after an insane performance like that, I really do wonder if being genuine and talking how he just beat down Curtis Blades would kind of hit a little bit more and resonated. But I think I'm just in the minority on that because everyone else I've talked to says they absolutely loved it and are over the top about it. So
yeah, I think I'm kind of with you. It'd have been cool, but I like the fact that he just like stayed in character after. Like I think I'm more impressed, right? Like you just went 15 minutes in an absolute fucking barn burner, and you still hand the mic over and you say what you got, cut your promo, and you just fucking walk out. I liked it. I you know what I mean? I thought that the kid I mean, say what you want, and he didn't. There's difference, right? He did this against a number 5, a legit guy in Curtis Blades, not some bums off the street in the warehouse in the desert. He did this in a main pay-per-view, one of the best cards of the year down in Miami, and against a legit heavyweight, a guy who's fought for the title, a guy who has been the top 5 for the last 5-6 years almost. You know what I mean? Like, and kudos to Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades. I mean, I said Curtis Blades only loses to power punchers, and that shows you how hard Francis and Derek Lewis hit, because Hokit and hit him with some shots, and he still stood there.
Yeah, and the one thing I really did appreciate in the interview was the mentioning of Pereira, because undoubtedly, like Josh Hokit has a more rightful right to fight for
Rob.
the interim title than Cyril Gahn does, in my opinion. In a perfect world, Cyril Gahn trips on a cable and they have to replace him the week of the White House, and we get Alex Pereira versus Josh
Hokit. That would be the most insane thing. And it's crazy. Obviously, he's got Derek Lewis at the White House, and that's insane. Be like, yeah, I'll fucking fight Derek. I'm a little nervous because if he fights Derek Lewis like that, I mean, I think Derek Lewis could wilt, but Derek Lewis, as we know, he's got that one-punch knockout power that could put Hokit down as well.
I'm not. Obviously, he has the one-hitter quitter power, but I am not concerned at all. I think he would have similar success to Waldo in just being able to get him out of place and stuff with the speed. Because I mean, he moves like a middleweight. We don't get athletic heavyweights in the UFC.
And everybody needs to stop with the guy needs to move down to 205 or have him fight at middle. Why would you do that? Stay a heavyweight, and you could become heavyweight champion at this rate, because the division's not very good. It's shallow.
If he can get a win over Curtis Blades, he can beat anyone in that division.
Yeah, agreed. Him and Tom Aspinall would be fun, I think, but
speed wise, I mean, I think it's no question as far as the UFC is concerned. He absolutely won the weekend. I mean, double bonus up, absolutely deserved. I mean, the main reason I had no pushback with the double bonus is you got to give Curtis for something for that too, So absolutely, give Hokit the double bonus.
Yeah, agreed. I thought it was an incredible fight. Curtis Blades we probably won't see him for the rest of the year. It broke his orbital, and everything else. Bobby, I mean, I think maybe also that fight was so exciting because we went from an absolute dog shit fight in Walker versus Reyes. I don't even think we need to even discuss this fucking fight because it was absolute snooze fest. And then we get to that barn burner that was Hokit and Blades.
Yeah, it's not that surprising to me, honestly. If you told me there was one fight that would be a dud, it would probably be the one where both guys get overly reckless and knocked out, and they're going to fight very tentative. And
they didn't even give Reyes a fucking interview. They said, "Fuck you, you didn't even fight."
I mean, that did not shock me. I mean, Pico got dicked on his interview. If Reyes was expecting,
I thought they did Aaron Pico's interview.
No, they did not. They cut to Donald Trump walking out. They're like,
"Oh, that's right." Because Pico wasn't on the main card. That's right. Yeah.
No, it was the crossover, and I mean, we'll get to that one in a minute. But the one thing I can't hold against Reyes, well, I can and I can't. Him saying, exciting's good, but making sure I get my paycheck, my full paycheck, for my son is what's important. And I understand that, But my
You
pushback would
got
be
a
like,
little bonus if you actually go in there and
well,
fucking throw a punch or two.
well, not only that, it was so remotely close. Like, I mean, I don't know how you scored that. I'm not even sure if he won the fight. So, I
I
mean,
don't know if he won it either.
if that's the argument, it was so close. If anything, you're doing a disservice to yourself if you're thinking with that mindset of
Agreed.
getting the second half of your paycheck.
Agreed.
But
I'm not
you
even.
know,
I don't even want to ask what's next for each of them because that fucking fight was just fucking awful. So give them whoever the fuck they want. Like, you know what I mean?
but again, like this is kind of the problem. Dominic Reyes is now on a win streak, which is really hard to say about people in that top 10. So it you know, he'll be back.
Yeah.
And I really don't know what they do next. Please don't do a rematch.
No, I mean they could give him the winner of the Gustav Yuri fight.
God. Yeah.
Not Yuri, but Jan fight. But yeah, him and Jan could rematch, I guess, because Jan beat him for the title.
Mm-hmm.
So you had Cub Swanson. I mean, that's the way to go out. I mean, kudos. We liked the matchup. We said, and Cub looked fucking like he could fight 3 more motherfucking years if they're going to feed him people like Nate the Train. I mean, it looked phenomenal in the opening
I
card.
think that's why he instantly took his gloves off and put him down in the center of the cage. He did
flawless victory.
He looked phenomenal, and you know, it's all due respect to Nico Price, but it's not like it's Nico Price. Like Nate Landwehr is very dangerous. So for him to just go through him like that, you know, Nate the Train said at the press conference, this isn't about fairy tales. Well, it was that night, Nate. I mean, that you can't get much better than that. And obviously, we knew he would have the video package. I love that the UFC owns all the WEC's footage, so they were able to do it of really the entirety of his career. And you know, couldn't have had a better moment. Wish more guys can kind of go out like that. I'm very interested to see the next phase with him coaching and stuff. He's got some, you know, really good guys out of his gym. So his memory is going to live on the UFC forever. And I said last week, it just makes me feel so old that he was the last guy from the WEC on the UFC's roster.
Right. Agreed. You mentioned Aaron Pico. I thought Aaron Pico looked maybe it took a little bit. I thought the first round, I think I texted you, I said I kind of may have scored that for Pitbull, but then, you know, Pico kind of dominated the rest of the way.
Yeah, I thought Pico broke his jaw in the second round. I think Pitbull said it was an orbital, but he was, ever since that shot where he dropped him, he was kind of fighting with his mouth open. And yeah, Pico just looked very dialed in and really my card, I had it 30-27. I had him pretty clearly ahead on most of it. But he looked great. Really rough showing for Pico. I mean, his brother Patricky looked very good at Ryzen this weekend, where Pitbull, I was kind of like, huh, don't really know where we go from here. I mean, if it was up to me, I'd prefer he go back to Ryzen. I just think there's more better matchups for him. And this is kind of what we knew Aaron Pico was. You know, he got caught with Murphy, but I am generally excited to see what he's going to be doing next because he's definitely a player in that division.
Yeah, who do you kind of rush him back up there, like towards the top? Like he is now ranked 13. So do you put him up? I mean, do you kind of put him up against like an Arnold Allen, like kind of rush him back up that way?
You know, I got a name.
Go ahead.
Give me John Silva. and I will acknowledge, I know I've been matching people up with John Silva the last 3 weeks.
The whole division can't fight John Silva, Bobby.
But my whole point is we better get one of these instead of a title shot against fucking Volkanovski. So, but to me, I want something a little bit higher than Arnold Allen. No disrespect, and so why not the guy
Arnold's
that
8,
beat?
Silva's 6, so not much higher.
Yeah, exactly. It's right there at the top. It's not having to fight like the number 1 or 2 guy, but someone right there at the middle with dangerous power. I think it's a pretty compelling matchup. About wondering what's going to happen.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. I don't mind either one. I think we kind of said loser leaves town, so I could see. I don't know what the contract is for Pitbull, but I think we could. I think his days in the UFC are probably numbered.
Well, it's tricky, and like if Rob's there, he would probably acknowledge this. But like Patricky, he looked a tad bit slow, and that's like with the reads and stuff. And like someone like Pico was really taking advantage of that. So these guys have just had a lot of fights and stuff, and that's why I do think I know we're not talking about Ryzen, but like Patricky in Ryzen, he lost the fight, but I still want to see kind of more fights with him there. And I do think if the UFC were to release Pitbull, that would kind of be the best place for him. Like I would not think he would go back to the PFL or anything.
Yeah. Real quick, I mentioned Arnold Allen. I forgot Arnold's fighting Milky Costa in a couple weeks. So that maybe Pico gets the winner. Really, he could be. I like him and Kevin Vallejos would be a fun one.
That's a amazing shout. I can't believe I didn't think of that. That I'll spare John Silva. I'm more than happy if they'll book that.
The featherweight division. I mean, I think we've said this before, but man, it's pretty stacked. It's pretty loaded.
Yeah, it's definitely heating up. Main reason we were critical when Diego got the rematch because it is so loaded. But yeah, a lot of these young guys.
And you could do Pico if you're trying to rush Pico back up into that scene. You could do him and Diego.
Yeah, I mean they could do that one as well. I mean, to your point, the division is so loaded. As long as they're going up, I don't really think they could do wrong with a lot of those.
Right, fights. Right. I'm just looking at the names, and some of these guys have fights, are either coming off a fight or they're just they have a fight booked. So it'll be. Oh, I guess Diego's fighting Steve Garcia on the White House card.
We should probably know that, but for some reason we keep forgetting. I promise you, it's not intentional. It's just the way they advertise the product, it just goes so 1 month.
I think because that card is we're focused on the top two or really the co-main that you almost forgot that card that fight's on there.
Josh Hokit, Derek Lewis gives that card a lot of juice. Like it seems like, oh, they just added one more fight, but I think the card blends a lot better together now with that fight on it than before it was on.
The rest UFC 327 absolutely. I thought the Kevin Holland Randy Brown fight was a fun one. Kevin Holland wins by unanimous decision. I thought he was going to get him out of there for a little bit. Brown doesn't tap. Holland kind of just said he wants one of the losses that he's had. I let him run back Mike Malott. That's a fight he probably should have won. He called for D-Rod, but I read today that D-Rod was offered Leon Edwards out of all people. So we'll see if that's true or not. Gamrot with a nice sub of Ribovic. I mean, he just showed like he's on a different level when it comes to the wrestling.
That was ridiculous matchmaking. I don't know what the UFC thought was going to happen.
I think they thought that they could get and maybe Gamrot needed to win. I mean, he took that short notice fight. I'd like to see Gamrot kind of fight back up in the rankings. So he's kind of been right there. Tatiana Suarez had a nice win as well at the strawweight. I think she's probably 1 or 2 away again. the UFC, it's time to get rid of Kevin Gastelum. Vincent Luque chokes him out in the first round. So the dog, that's the first dog, baby. I called it, Bobby. The first dog.
Yeah, no, shout out to the dog, and really shout out to Luque. I was kind of expecting the worst in that, and yeah, great win. I thought that would have been an opportune time to maybe say no Moss. Maybe I'm just projecting that. He, you know, I but I like him at the weight class, so I hope he sticks there.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting what they kind of where they see him kind of going, but I thought that was a loser leaves town match. So see you later, Kevin Gastelum as well.
You know he's
Any,
not going anywhere. He'll take fight. He took that fight on a short notice.
Yeah.
He's an Ali client. They're going to keep him around forever.
No matter how much he misses weight. Any other takeaways for you, Bobby, on 327 before we get into some other things real quick?
We got the promo for, the on-air promo to advertise the White House card.
Oh, I forgot. I said heavyweights are back, and Gable Steveson is now officially with the UFC, the best kept secret. Or the worst kept secret.
Yeah. What did Rob's comment say?
What did he say here? Gaslam still being on the roster is everything that's wrong with the UFC.
I knew it was something I'd want to read.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised by the Gable thing, other than
we've been saying that it was going to happen eventually.
It was going to happen eventually, but I thought it would be a little bit more wise if they just had him do Contender, just to get one of those kind of gimme fights in, and now they're going to be booking him directly and stuff, and I'm sure it will work out, but I love how they announced that they signed him and he's fighting International Fight Week, but they did not announce his opponent, which signals they're probably bringing someone in, because they don't have someone. I don't know, but
there's only like 20 heavyweights on the roster. You just pick, you know what I mean?
To me, I didn't even notice they were panning to Gable in the crowd. I just noticed John Jones was there, and I was like, "Oh, that was the most interesting thing to me." And then I totally missed the graphic that they said that they signed him, because I was like, "Oh shit, John Jones is actually there with all of the public negotiations and stuff." And you saw Hunter Campbell at the Dirty Boxing on Friday night. I know he wasn't there to evaluate talent, so I mean, he was obviously there to talk to John Jones. But yeah, they signed him. I know a lot of people say he's got a great mentor. Probably on the experience side, I'd have to agree. But I really don't know what we're going to get out of him. As bad as heavyweight is, I just don't know how the striking part's going to go.
Yeah, I kind of agree. He's not getting a Contender contract, 12-12, and don't want to make an exception to the contract. Well, I think they made an exception for Bo Nickel. He was on that sucker twice. But I think go ahead, Bobby.
It is a good point by Rob, though, especially with him having John Jones' agent. They're not bringing him on that standard contract.
Yeah, he'll get the gimme fight. Yeah, I mean, he will. I'm pretty sure it'll be somebody and they'll probably put him on and this is just me kind of reading the tea leaves here. If it is Conor McGregor that is going to be booked on what they're talking on International Fight Week, the way that card's built, if you have Gable making his debut, he's probably number 5. And if it is D-Rod versus Leon, that kind of makes sense on that card. You're having a former champion versus a ranked guy. So you kind of building that card up a little bit with some names. So I could see that happening on that card. That's why it makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll believe it when I see it. Probably.
Yeah, I'm just saying I could see that. I'm just reading the leaves, Bobby. I'm just,
Yeah. Yeah, I blanked on what I was gonna say. It was something about Gable. I can't remember.
Ah,
I
it's a
forgot,
loophole, you know.
I forgot to tie my shoes today, so
Yeah.
I'm I'm tripping over my shoelaces.
Uh, real quick, did you have anything else on 327?
Um, no, just overall, like as a number card, it absolutely like delivered. Like the fights from the beginning to the end. So yeah, definitely one of the better events we got in the year, even though we lost a co-main event and kind of had a bizarre ending to the main event. But at the same time, we still got a knockout out of it and a whole shit moment. So yeah, going to be quite a come down this weekend.
Yeah, we'll get into this weekend in a minute later. I just want to touch first. I thought Saturday, I was like, this is why you love the UFC, right? Or fighting in general, like why we love the sport. Saturday, because the card was fantastic. We also had right before that, Bobby, you had the Netflix boxing with Fury and whoever the guy he fought. Fury wins, and you even had Conor Benn and Regis Progress, and people are pretty much saying Conor Benn doesn't look like a $15 million guy.
I mean, we knew he wasn't though. I mean, that's why the signing was so shocking, because of kind of that money, and it was more of something that always seemed to just kind of grab someone from Eddie's stable. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The production looked fine. Um, I don't think Conor Benn looked very good. He had a gash on his eye at the end of the night. I know he unanimously won, but like he's calling for like Ryan Garcia. I don't think the most of Ryan Garcia, but I think he would absolutely work Conor Benn. And I
Yeah,
really don't even see the point of them booking that fight. So I guess the only interesting part would be more what he's actually going to do next with how everything played out with Eddie. But there wasn't too much I took away from that fight other than his opponent admitting, yeah, I was injured the whole fight and I was contemplating pulling out. But, with that guy being that injured, he still had some moments in that fight, which is why I don't think he really looked good on Ben.
yeah. He said Ben was. Rob says Ben was just paid by Turkey. This is just Turkey playing master chess. I agree. No argument there. Yeah. That's. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the boxing front and
Tyson
real.
Fury also kind of looked like a guy that hadn't fought in 500 days.
Yeah.
Uh, and
They're gonna do. Turkey will get him and uh Joshua done. You think?
So it's funny because like when I was watching the fight, I was saying in the space because AJ was obviously in the crowd. I was like, yeah, I have no interest in seeing that fight. No, thank you. But then after the fight, AJ no selling him and not even getting out of his seat and cutting a promo calling Tyson a clout chaser and saying he's never left the sport. Um, Made me do a 180. I'm sold on it now. So I like now I'll like tolerate it enough just for that. Fury's performance in the ring didn't make me want to see it. I would assume they kind of would get it done, but you never know. There's always could be a different fight, especially with Usyk, already booked against Rico. So who knows what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, and you had we didn't even talk about Deontay Wilder. I mean, it seemed like him and Joshua kind of had a back and forth, so it'll be kind of interesting where they go. We're kind of ending the end of this era of boxing heavyweights of Fury, Joshua, and Wilder. So it'll be interesting kind of where they go from here. Before we get into this weekend's card, what did you make? They did another press conference for the UFC Netflix card, and the only takeaway is that, well, Ronda and Gina don't have any heat, but by God, sign me up for Ronda versus Kayla Harrison.
um, it yeah, I don't know. I don't even know the question that I might have like missed the actual question, but like all of a sudden I just heard in my headphone that she was just going off on this rant, and I'm like trying to put together like what the fuck, like who. I was kind of just like, okay, who's she yelling at now?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I think she's yelling at Kayla. And then like when she mentioned the neck, I was like, oh, okay, she is talking about Kayla Harris. Oh no, what am I saying? It was Ariel. He rage baited her into that question, literally bringing up Kayla Harrison talking about her on Masvidal's podcast. So for anyone to say that he does not instigate stuff, like our boy was in full motion there, like, oh, I'm sure this one would go viral. And yeah, that thing is gonna be getting clipped for the next few days. I took away absolutely nothing from it. The most interesting thing is that she said that any fighter on that card was going to make a minimum of 40K.
40,000. Yeah.
So that is the part that I find interesting. But
that's what they gave old boy that's fighting Francis. Everybody else ain't making more than everybody else is making more than 40,000.
And I don't know. Like again, I appreciate the message. I just think it's the absolute wrong messenger to the point where I can't tell if it's genuine or not. Like in my mind, she's going to do this one fight and we're never going to hear from her again. So all this stuff of her talking about fighters being able to fight 3 times
well, I think she wants to be a promoter for MVP.
I mean, maybe that's what they're leaning into to run the MMA division. So that'd be an interesting element. But when she's talking about fighters being able to have 3 fights a year, that would mean that they would have to put on like a minimum of 10 events. And is that something I know it'll probably be deemed off the success of the Netflix thing, but I'd be kind of surprised if Netflix was bought in for all 10 of those, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's what they want to do. Yeah.
Though I like appreciate the message, I just really don't know what to make of it yet, which is why I'm kind of just holding back on an opinion because it could go multiple ways.
To me, they're not doing a good. They're doing a good job of promoting, but they're not doing a good job of promoting the actual fights versus each other. Like, I didn't come away any of those fights or any from the presser. Obviously, I'm always the Nate and Mike Perry is like always is going to be interesting to me, but they're not doing a good enough job of like, oh, I want to see these two fight each other.
Well, especially because the only promotion they seem to be doing
is bashing the UFC.
Yeah, it's the Jake Paul Game Plan 101, and it really stopped working with Jake, you know? And now it's a new person that's doing it. Read that real quick.
He said, so I said that's what he was paying Lenz. Lenz is getting 40,000. He said, nah, he talked to Lenz and he's getting paid unpopular UFC champ pay. Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, Netflix is covering the bill for all of this. So, I mean, they're having MVP just go after the talent. And so it could work. I just wonder how, like, sustainable it's going to be. Because as they alluded to, the people on the stage there are, like, really the only people like that are, quote unquote, really free from the UFC contracts. I mean, Masvidal tried to get on this event and the UFC 86'd it and told him no. So, you know, I just wonder what kind of like roster stable they're going to have long term. Cause, you know, like the Nate angle, I'm taking that as like a payday. Like
GFL's looking at them saying, hey, MVP, you're taking everything I worked for.
Yeah. But I do agree with the lack of, they're not promoting the fight. They're just bashing the UFC. And as someone that appreciates all that type of tea, I love to see it and people calling them out. I do think they're doing a disservice to the fights. But at the same time, you know, we're not really expecting like those fights to be anything like crazy, or it's got like a little bit more of a nostalgia feel than like watching like the top competition, you know. It's Netflix is billing it as a big event,
Yeah.
Like that is what they're aiming to put on.
Yeah. Bobby, you mentioned, let's move into UFC this week. It is Burns versus Malott in Canada. I mean, this card, we went from we've sat here on several nights on Wednesday nights and said, this card's not that great, and delivered. And hopefully this will be one of those cards that on paper don't look great, but will deliver. But it's headlined by Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. You have Kyler Phillips versus Charles Jourdain. Jaya Herbert versus Mandel Nahalo, Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Karine Silva. And then you got, after that, it's real thin. But your thoughts here, and we can just kind of talk the main real quick before we get out of here and make a pick on the main. Your thoughts on Burns versus Malott and the rest of this card.
This is about as close to booking a UFC card without a main event at a live event that you can get.
This is an Apex card being in a live
There is
crowd.
no reason to get 2 additional rounds of this. Like Gilbert Burns and Mike Malott, I'm going to get all of my answers within 15 minutes. I don't need an additional 2 rounds. Like this, when they booked this, I said this is the worst main event of the year. It seems to be booked that, and that's not even an indictment on the 2 of them. It's just for a live event, this is crazy. Like, to me, Jasudavicius versus Silva is a much more intriguing main event.
Agreed.
But
much more at stake, I feel like, too.
And they got some low numbers on this card. Like, they got Robert Valentine on it. They got multiple debuters and stuff. So it just it feels like just a very cost effectively built card to go to Canada. I'm not saying the fights won't deliver because of that. Like, there is some intriguing matchmaking on it. Jourdain should be good, but I really don't know what to make of it.
Me neither. Other than it's like, hey, we need to go to Canada. Let's just get all the Canadians on the card and call it good.
Well, especially the main event. Like, the main reason he's in the main event is because he's Canadian.
Yeah.
And the line I find kind of jarring. Like, I know Gilbert Burns did not look good in his last fight.
I haven't seen the line.
Morales, who's huge. And I don't know. I've just never been high on Malott like that. Like, I don't think the line should be, that far apart.
I haven't seen the line. I mean, look.
Gilbert's like a plus 300.
Here we go. Plus 260. Yeah, I'm putting money on Gilbert Burns, plus 260.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Malott got it done, but
Burns by TKO or DQ is plus 800. Burns by submission is plus 600, Bobby. That's enough juice worth the squeeze to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. I would kind of pick this to probably go decision, but at the same time, when you're getting a number that inflated, I don't understand why not. I would not lay that money on Malott, like, as far as a favorite. Like, that is the jarring part of the line to me. Like,
Burns by decision is plus 1,000.
What's the most likely outcome in the fight?
I'm putting some money on it. Give me Gilbert Burns, baby.
You only live once. Why not?
It won't be much money, but I'm putting some money on it. Got to. That fucking plus that, I will. Bobby, you got any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, we basically covered it. Great weekend for combat sports. The Ryzen Landmark 13 event absolutely delivered as well. I've really been enjoying watching the Ryzen. It's a very good switch up from the UFC elite rule set. Like, if you miss weight, you essentially the guy that misses weight, if he gets a finish, he can only get a no contest. Like,
Oh shit.
if the UFC had rule sets like that, you'd see a lot less people making
Yeah.
weight. They have
Yep.
it was very rarely in a cage this time. Normally it's in a ring, but they had an outside ref to make sure people would keep their fingers out of the cage. Just everything I asked for. So if you need a switch up from the UFC, can't recommend the Rise Seasonal Pass enough.
Yeah, real quick, Rob said respectfully, this is Canadian Showcase again, Cream. Exactly, Bobby. This maxed region. So appreciate it. Nailed it, 2 boxes. Just get it done, card. Yeah, exactly. I appreciate it, Rob. Thanks for tuning in as always, brother. We appreciate the support as always. And as always, folks, we'll be back here next week, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. Be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. We'll see you then. Enjoy the fights. Enjoy WrestleMania. I know I'll be tuning into both. So be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share.
Winnipeg will deliver. Watch it.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.